Let's bring in Inside.com founder and CEO Jason Calacanis. So, Jason, you just heard Julia say that Iger describes this as a major strategic shift in the way we distribute our content. Wall Street doesn't seem too impressed just yet. What say you?
Well, we talked about this last year, that it would be an incredible opportunity at some point for Disney to be able to collect credit cards and email addresses and go direct to consumers. They were, of course, selling their content to Netflix and other services, and that was a good model. But if you look at what happens long term, when you put an intermediary like Netflix in between you and the content, and that intermediary decides, hey, we can make content too, and it turns out they're highly competent at it, and Amazon decides to make their own content, then all of a sudden you're losing that end consumer. You don't have a direct connection to them, and it's a major risk factor for the network. But ESPN owns the greatest IP in the world. It's the greatest collection of IP in the world. And I think actually when they start going direct, Disney and ESPN have some of the best content in the world. And so Disney with ESPN, with Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and that whole collection, including the Disney assets, of course, the original movies, they have an incredible, incredible collection. And when they go direct, it will be very easy for them to get tens of millions of people to subscribe to that service.
Will it be very easy, though? Jason, I'm wondering, though, you've got ESPN on the one hand, but then you've also got kind of Marvel and Lucasfilm, and then you've got like Disney Junior type stuff. It doesn't seem like all of that fits under a single subscription. So do you have to sell them each separately, and do you end up with subscription fatigue unless there's something like a cable bundle that authenticates for all of them at once?
No, I think that Disney is the one company that could produce, a top 3 offering. So they'll be right up there with Amazon and Netflix, because if they were to just give, as an example, everybody the tens of millions of people who go to a theme park, if they gave each of them a free 3-month or 6-month subscription with their ticket purchase, they would easily get to tens of millions of users. If they took every Marvel comic book or every Star Wars action figure or every ticket sold to the next couple of Star Wars films and included a 3-month or 6-month customer acquisition cost, would be $0. And so I believe they can create tens of millions of subscribers with a 0 acquisition cost and immediately be the number 2 or 3 player in going direct to consumers.
All right, so then what's the impact on Netflix, and how many more of these defections do you think they can survive?
Yeah, so they have escape velocity, obviously. When you start to get to 100 million paid subscribers and you have a team that produces world-class content, then I think Netflix and Disney and Amazon will be in the dogfight. The people who will lose in this, people maybe who don't have a big enough library of Viacom, as an example, or maybe even people who haven't entered yet, like Google, Facebook, and Apple. Their window might, in fact, be closing to come into the original content space, because Disney realizes that they made a huge error in giving away the keys to the kingdom, and now they have to take the keys back, and it's going to be a dogfight. If you look at Netflix, they have, what, 1/6 of the revenue of Disney, but they're priced at half in terms of market cap. And so the question becomes, is this going to be another Facebook, Google-like situation where Google put its head in the sand and didn't watch Facebook catching up in the rearview mirror? Or is Disney going to attack and start producing massive amounts of online content? And ESPN has some very unique opportunities here. ESPN is a collection of a lot of different sports, as we all know. If something like poker becomes extremely popular, they could, with a direct-to-consumer offering, have a poker channel and do it with a level of professionalness that other people simply can't. So I think it's going to open up, new opportunities for them. And then their challenge is going to be when the NBA decides, you know what, NBA is a global sport, we're going to direct to consumers, which obviously they do with League Pass. But if League Pass gets too many subscribers, then it's going to be a direct-to-consumer world. And this idea that there'll be intermediaries is going to go away.
I think I'd be more in favor of Toy Story 4 and the Frozen sequel than a poker channel. But Jason, before we let you go, we did hear that you got your hands on the new Tesla Model 3. I guess because you have all the other Teslas, is that how you got one of the early models?
Yeah, Jay Cal's pretty connected. I'll speak about myself in the third person, but, I get access to a lot of things, and let me just say, yum, yum.
I was waiting for it.
Oh, my God, it's a yum, 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 yum. It literally, there it is. There's the, you know, one of the founder series, and I've been driving it, and it drives like a Porsche, and it costs the same price as a Prius. And all the people who have been criticizing Elon for the last decade and saying that he's not going to get it done, well, the model I have, of course, has all the features. It's twice a Prius, but the model that, you know, will be available in the next year will cost $35 and be Prius level. But if Elon calls this, like, you know, he's got a big line of hamburgers, this is a Wagyu hamburger at a, you know, Shake Shack price. It is an achievement unlike anything in the history of technology. It literally is up there with the iPhone. It drives like a Porsche. It's incredibly fast. The technology is amazing. It's rock solid.
Are people going to be able to get their hands on them, though, is the question. Nobody questions that Tesla makes drool-worthy cars, but I have heard service complaints for some people who have the car, love the car, but don't like the way they handle service, and the question of whether they can make enough. Those two things combined, if they're having trouble servicing the small number of cars on the road now, how are they going to be able to make this many and then service the ones even if they do get them out on the road?
Yeah, this is like running out of like ketchup and napkins at, you know, the very popular hamburger joint. They can solve that problem. If you can make a product this good, you can solve the service problems. And listen, I own all 4 cars. Every car has been a couple of weeks or months late. Every car, they've had to tweak it a little bit here or there. Elon is a complete perfectionist. He wants to really, he cares about customer service in a very deep way. So things are always a couple of weeks late, and then he always over-delivers. And we were sitting here 5, 6 years ago when he was producing 1 or 2 Roadsters a week, saying he'll never be able to produce 100. Then he hit 100. Now he can't produce 10,000. Betting against Elon Musk is betting against the future of humanity. It is an incredibly stupid thing to do because millennials do not want to buy...
Well, this week, that might not be such a bad bet.
Well, actually, yeah, given that Trump's going to blow up half the planet. If we don't go into World War Terminus, then this will be a successful car.
All right, Jay,
it's incredible.
You're cut off.
Incredible.
Thank you. The rest of the 450,000 people who put in orders are going to have to wait longer than you did to get that car.
They'll get them. They'll get them, and they'll be pleased. Trust me.